People are attracted to what seems scarce and unattainable. We naturally value what we can't easily have. True connection comes from strength and authenticity, not from chasing or trying to impress others. Confidence is magnetic. When you stop seeking validation, you become more attractive to others. Desperation repels. Authenticity attracts people want to join your happiness, not be responsible for it. Standing in your truth invites loyalty. You inspire others by being whole and self-assured. The less you care about controlling others' attention, the more naturally they are drawn to you. People are naturally drawn to what feels just out of reach. It's a phenomenon deeply wired into our psychology. When something appears scarce or difficult to attain, we automatically assign it a higher value. We see it in every area of life, from luxury goods to human relationships. It's not about playing mind games or pretending to be distant. It's about understanding a very simple truth of human nature. Desire increases when access decreases. When someone is constantly available, constantly seeking our attention, we begin to take them for granted. Their presence feels predictable, even expected. But when someone stands strong on their own, when they seem secure, fulfilled, and not desperate for validation, something powerful happens. Our brain starts to see them differently. They become intriguing. They become a challenge. They feel special simply because they are not readily offering themselves to us without thought. This principle is especially noticeable in relationships. Think about the times when you found yourself most captivated by someone. Chances are, they weren't the person sending long messages every 5 minutes. They weren't the one making themselves overly available or compromising their own time just to fit into yours. They were the one who had their own life, their own passions, their own sense of self. And precisely because they didn't need your attention, you found yourself wanting to earn it. The same dynamic applies in professional settings, friendships, and even leadership. When a leader appears overly eager to please, followers lose respect. But when a leader stands for something, when they operate with a clear purpose and don't scramble for approval, people lean in. They want to be part of that certainty, that groundedness. Scarcity creates perceived value not because it's about manipulation, but because it forces us to recognize and appreciate what is rare. And genuine confidence, genuine independence is rare. Most people operate from a place of seeking validation. Few operate from a place of self-assurance. When you embody that self-assurance, you naturally elevate how others see you. The less you care about forcing connection, the more genuine connections you invite. People will chase what they feel might slip away, not because they are playing a game, but because deep down they want to be connected to what is real, rare, and radiant. Real connection is never the result of chasing, convincing, or proving. It's the product of authenticity and inner strength. When we show up grounded in who we are, without the desperate need to impress, we naturally attract people who value us for the right reasons. In a world where so many are trying so hard to be liked, simply being true to yourself is incredibly rare and incredibly powerful. Trying too hard often signals to others that we don't believe we are enough on our own. It's a silent message that says, "Please choose me, please validate me." And most people, even if they don't consciously realize it, can feel that energy. It can create an imbalance where the more you chase, the more they pull away. Not because they are cruel, but because we all want to feel like we are choosing freely, not being pressured. On the other hand, when you stand confidently in your truth, when you know your worth, when you are not seeking approval, but simply offering your presence, you change the dynamic completely. You invite connection instead of chasing it. You allow people to be drawn to you by their own choice, and that makes all the difference. Relationships built from this kind of freedom are stronger, more lasting, and more genuine. It's not about arrogance. It's about rootedness. It's about knowing that you are enough whether someone else notices it or not, and that kind of energy is magnetic. People are hungry for realness. They are drawn to those who are at peace with themselves, because it's so rare to find someone who doesn't need the world to tell them they are valuable. Authenticity has a quiet power. It doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it simply is. It says, "I am here. This is who I am. You're welcome to walk with me, but I don't need you to walk with me to keep moving forward. That's the kind of strength that earns true admiration and respect. When you stop trying to be chosen and start simply being yourself, you open the door for real connection. The people who resonate with your truth will naturally come closer, and those who don't, they were never meant to stay anyway. Confidence has a magnetic pull that is impossible to ignore. It doesn't need to shout, demand, or convince, it simply exists, and people feel it. When you stop seeking validation from the outside world, you begin to tap into a quiet, unshakable energy that draws others toward you naturally. It's not arrogance or superiority. True confidence is rooted in self-acceptance. It's the understanding that your worth is not dependent on who notices it, who applauds it, or who chooses to stay. When you constantly seek validation, you give your power away. You hand over your sense of value to other people's opinions, and in doing so, you make yourself smaller. People can feel that insecurity. It's in your tone, your body language, your choices, and it often makes them step back, not because they are unkind, but because the human spirit is instinctively drawn toward strength, not neediness. On the other hand, when you are centered in yourself, when you know deep down that you are valuable, whether or not someone else acknowledges it, everything about you changes. Your words carry more weight. Your presence feels more solid. You don't have to try to impress. Simply being yourself becomes impressive enough. You stop trying to convince others to see your worth because you already see it for yourself. People are naturally drawn to certainty. In a world full of insecurity and noise, someone who moves with clarity, someone who doesn't flinch at rejection, becomes a rare and beautiful presence. Confidence tells the world, I am here and I am enough. And that simple statement, lived out through actions and choices, is incredibly attractive. When you no longer depend on others for your sense of self, you stop clinging, you stop chasing, and you start attracting. The relationships you form from that space are healthier because they are built on mutual respect, not on the need for approval. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You are inviting someone to walk alongside you. The irony is that the less you look outward for validation, the more you receive it naturally. But by then, you won't need it. Because true confidence isn't built on what the world gives you, it's built on what you know to be true about yourself, even when no one else is looking. Desperation and authenticity create two very different types of energy, and people can feel the difference almost immediately. Desperation, even when it's hidden under politeness or charm, sends an invisible message: I need you to choose me so I can feel whole. And no matter how kind or well-meaning someone is, that kind of pressure is heavy. It places an unspoken burden on the other person to complete you, to validate you, to make you feel enough. Over time, that weight becomes suffocating, and people naturally start to pull away. Authenticity, however, does the opposite. It creates an atmosphere of ease and freedom. When you are being yourself without trying to impress, without trying to control how you are seen, you create space for real connection to happen. People feel safe with authenticity because there's no hidden agenda, no silent demand. It says, I am here, I am whole, and whether you walk with me or not, I will continue to be whole. In relationships, whether romantic, professional, or social, authenticity is refreshing. It's rare to meet someone who isn't trying to perform or posture. When you're authentic, you don't force anyone to carry your emotional well-being. You take responsibility for your own happiness, and you invite others to share in it, not to be responsible for it. That difference may seem small, but it changes everything. Think about it. Nobody wants to feel like they are being recruited into fixing someone else's self-worth. It's draining, but we are all drawn to people who seem content in their own skin. Their energy feels light. Their presence feels like an invitation, not an obligation. The truth is, you don't have to beg to be chosen. You don't have to constantly adjust yourself to keep people interested. You just have to be yourself fully and unapologetically. That way, when someone chooses you, they are choosing the real you, not a version you created to be liked. Desperation says, I need you to make me okay. Authenticity says, I am already okay, and I'd love to share this life with you. People don't want to carry your happiness, they want to celebrate it with you. And when you live from that truth, the right people will naturally find their way to you. When you stand in your truth, you send a powerful message to the world. That you are whole, that you are certain of who you are, and that you don't need anyone's approval to feel complete. This kind of self-assurance invites a very different kind of loyalty, not loyalty built out of obligation or fear, but loyalty built out of admiration and respect. People are naturally drawn to those who know who they are and live by it, especially in a world where so many are unsure of themselves. Standing in your truth doesn't mean you are rigid or unkind. It doesn't mean you refuse to listen or grow. It means you have a foundation inside you that doesn't shake with every passing opinion, every moment of doubt, or every challenge from the outside. That kind of internal stability is rare, and when others sense it, they feel safer around you. They know you are not going to twist yourself into something you're not just to fit in or to be liked. You become a steady presence, someone others can rely on, not because you promise to make everyone happy, but because you promise to be real. In relationships, both personal and professional, people crave this kind of consistency. They are tired of surfaces. They are tired of dealing with people who change depending on who they are talking to. When you stay true to yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You set a standard that says, here, you don't have to pretend. Here, you can be real too. And when people are given that kind of freedom, they naturally develop deeper loyalty toward you. Not because you forced them to, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it by your example. True loyalty isn't something you beg for. It's something you earn when others see that you're willing to be yourself, even when it would be easier to blend in. The irony is, the more you try to please everyone, the more you lose yourself and eventually the respect of those you were trying to win. But the more you stay aligned with your truth, the more you attract the kind of people who respect, admire, and want to walk alongside the real you. When you stop caring about controlling other people's attention, something powerful begins to happen. You become free. You stop living in reaction to how others see you, and instead, you start living fully as yourself. And ironically, that's exactly when people start paying even more attention to you. Not because you're trying harder, but because there's something deeply magnetic about someone who doesn't chase approval. In relationships, friendships, and even careers, many people exhaust themselves trying to be noticed. They adjust their words, their actions, even their dreams, all in the hope of being accepted. But the more you try to control how others feel about you, the more invisible you actually become. People can sense when your energy is focused outward, grasping for validation. And subconsciously, they pull away not out of cruelty, but because chasing energy feels heavy. It creates pressure. It's not inspiring, it's draining. When you release that need, when you genuinely stop caring whether someone approves or not, you shift your entire energy. You're no longer trying to be anything other than who you are. You're not performing. You're not selling yourself. You're simply living your truth, and that truth, lived fully and unapologetically, shines in a way no act ever could. People are drawn to freedom. They are drawn to those who live in a way that says, I am complete with or without your applause. That kind of energy creates curiosity. It creates respect. When you don't chase someone's attention, you allow them the space to come toward you willingly, and the relationships built from that space are far more genuine and lasting. You don't have to push yourself into anyone's life. The people who are meant to be there will naturally be drawn to the strength and honesty you embody, and the ones who don't come closer, that's a blessing too. It means you're clearing the space for those who truly see you, not the version you would have performed just to be accepted. The less you care about forcing connection, the more you leave room for real connection to grow. Because at the end of the day, the right people aren't looking for someone perfect. They're looking for someone real, and real always wins.